Yo, tomorrow is a new comic book day and there's a lot of stuff coming out. It's time to take a look at the list so I can tell you what I'm getting. What's up, guys? BJ Kicks here. I buy comics, I read them, and I review them, all for your viewing pleasure. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. Now, this is the latest in a series I like to call What I'm Getting, where I go through all the books coming out in the current week. I tell you what's on my pull list, what's on the chopping block, I just can't pick it up anymore, and what's on the maybe list I'm making a game day decision on. Now, this week, there's actually a lot of books coming out. The fun challenge with this series is always staying under budget, and we'll see if we're successful this week. But anyway, I'm excited about a lot of stuff, and I'll tell you what I'm most excited for in just a second. But first, huge shout out to our channel sponsor, Ultimate Comics. Ultimate Comics is where I buy my comics every single week, and if you're in the Raleigh-Durham area, you can too. They've got 4 locations: Raleigh, Durham, Cary, and Crabtree Valley Mall. They just did Free Comic Book Day, so I'm sure a lot of new people are shopping at the stores this week. Super excited about that. Free Comic Book Day was awesome. My recap's coming tomorrow. So that's going to be fun. But anyway, if you're in the Raleigh area, you should definitely walk into one of the Ultimate Comics locations. But if you're not, no worries. You can shop online at ultimatecomics.com, and twice a week, every Tuesday and Thursday night, on the Ultimate Comics live show. I hope to see you there. Thanks to Ultimate Comics for sponsoring this video. Now, let's talk about the book that I'm most excited for this week. If you know me and you've seen this week's releases, then this will come as absolutely no surprise at all. The book I have to have in my hands tomorrow is Blood Syndicate Season 1, Issue number 1, from the new Milestone Comics imprint over at DC. Man, so Blood Syndicate is the last of the original 4 titles to get a reboot from Milestone. We've had Static Season 1, Icon and Rocket Season 1, and Hardware Season 1 is almost over, and now we're starting a new era for the Blood Syndicate. Now, the Blood Syndicate is going to be written by Jeffrey Thorne, who just took Green Lantern John Stewart to new heights, and it's going to have art by original Milestone artist and original Blood Syndicate artist Chris Cross. So I'm excited. Very excited about this series. The Blood Syndicate, if you're not familiar, I always describe them as like an amoral X-Men, right? Like, the thing you need to know about the Blood Syndicate is they are not necessarily good guys. Like, they're not superheroes standing up for truth and justice. Like, in the original series, they were a gang and they were fighting for turf. In this new series, it's going to be reworked a little bit. So I'm very curious to see, like, these characters. They're going to be familiar faces if you read the 90s series, but for most people, they won't be familiar at all. So it's going to be interesting to see these characters and their motivations, because in the original Blood Syndicate, they got their powers from the Big Bang. And as you know, in the new Milestone, the Big Bang happened pretty differently. And our main characters in the Blood Syndicate weren't there. So I'm very curious to see, like, okay, how'd they get their powers? What are they doing with them? Who all is going to be on the team? It's going to be very fun to watch. And I'm so hyped about this series. I could say more, but I probably shouldn't. We don't have that much time. So Blood Syndicate Season 1, Number 1. It's got a cover price of $3.99. You've been looking at the cover A. I'd be lying if I told you I was only getting the cover A. There's an old school variant by Chris Cross. Definitely grabbing that. There's a new school variant by Nicholas Draper Ivey. Definitely grabbing that too. And there's a 1 in 25 variant featuring Holocaust being a fire breather at a circus looking like. And that's by Raza. And if I can find that, I want that too. So there's definitely a lot of covers. I think my favorite, if I had to just pick one, would be the Chris Cross old school variant. But why pick just one? It's got a cover price of $3.99. Next up, since we're talking about Milestone, which is an offshoot of DC Comics, might as well talk about all the DC Comics on my pull list, starting with I Am Batman, issue number 9. Now, I Am Batman is a series following Jace Fox, aka Tim Fox. He's decided to pick up the mantle of Batman, and, you know, he started out being Batman in Gotham, which was kind of redundant. didn't really make sense for the character. Well, the Fox family has moved to New York City, and so Jace Fox is now the Batman of New York, which comes with its own like benefits and curses. And now Jace is kind of asking himself like, yo, there's this new serial killer on the loose. Like, am I doing any good being Batman? Is this the right decision? Sounds kind of familiar, right? So I'm very excited about this issue. I think this series has been really well done ever since about issue 3, written by John Ridley. Not sure who's on art this time around. But I Am Batman number 9. It's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm getting cover A. And the next up from DC Comics, this is a book that like has no business on my pull list except that it's just awesome. This is Jurassic League issue number 1. Brand new number 1. This is written by Daniel Warren Johnson. The art is by someone else, but it's a very Daniel Warren Johnson style. So if you've seen his stuff like Wonder Woman, Dead Earth, then the art will look sort of familiar to you. But basically, this is the Justice League as dinosaurs. I had the privilege of reading issue 1 of Jurassic League in its entirety. It is just pure, unadulterated fun. Like, it's the most ridiculous thing I've seen in a while. In good ways, in great ways. So I had a little bit of room in the budget, so it's definitely on the list for now. Jurassic League number 1 has a cover price of $3.99. I'm getting cover A. All right, next up on the DC Comics pull list is Naomi, season 2, issue number 3. Now, Naomi returned for season 2 to kind of coincide with the release of her TV show. Gotta say, the comic has been a lot better than the TV show, especially if you already had familiarity with the comic. Dee has gone missing, and so trying to solve that murder or mystery, figure out what happened to her mentor, she's teaming up with Cyborg and Hawkgirl in this issue. So I'm excited. We're finally learning more about Naomi's role in the overall DC universe, how she affects things, how powerful is she. These are questions that need answers. So I'm excited about it. It's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm getting cover A. And the last book on my DC Comics pull list this week is Superman, Son of Kal-El, issue number 11. Now, Superman, Son of Kal-El is a series that's kind of gotten a lot of flack. It's been up and down as far as like ratings for me. But here recently, they've really, and it's written by Tom Taylor, by the way, and it's really kind of like jumped straight into the action, right? Tom Taylor does stories that have action, but also have a lot of heart, a lot of feels. And so sometimes you get a little bit too many feels and not enough action. But anyway, it's been steady in course. It's been really good as of late. Now that all the controversy's over and people are, done like, I don't know, railing at it for headlines. It's been a really solid series. Really enjoying it. This one, basically there's a new threat because Luthor has teamed up with Henry Bendix, to make Superman's life just miserable. So I'm excited about it. It's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm getting cover A. And that's it for my DC Comics. If I just stick to the list, my DC Comics are going to cost me $20 this week. But we know I'm not sticking to the list. So anyway, let's move on to the Marvel Comics on my pull list, where there's another brand new number 1, and that is Hulk vs. Thor, Banner of War, the Alpha issue, number 1. Now, if it's an Alpha issue, do we need the number 1 at the end? Because like Alpha, it's the first letter in the Greek alphabet, that kind of signifies that it's number 1. I feel like you would just call it Alpha. But it's listed as Alpha number 1. Anyway, there's a whole new crossover event, Hulk versus Thor. Honestly, I'm reading Hulk. I'm not reading Thor. Donny Cates is writing both, and he's also the author on this, or the writer on this, this crossover. It should be fun, right? If for nothing else, for that Gary Frank cover. So I'm going to pick up the Alpha issue. I don't know if I'm going to be in this event for the long haul because the summer's got a lot of different things going on. You got the Avengers XMen crossover series. You got the Dark Crisis starting up next month. We got a lot going on, but I'm going to give this one a try since I got some room in the budget. This Alpha issue has a cover price of $4.99. I'm getting cover A. Next up on DC Comics, speaking of Hulk, we got What If Miles Morales issue number 3, in which we ask the question, what if Miles Morales became the Hulk? I've been enjoying these one-shots. They've actually been really good. We had What If Miles Morales was Wolverine. Before that, we had What If Miles Morales became Captain America. So I'm down. Like, I've been enjoying them. They've actually been good one-shot fun stories. So I'm expecting What If Miles Became the Hulk to be just as much fun, if not more, than the last two. This one's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm getting cover A. And the last book on my Marvel Comics pull list is X-Men, issue number 11. Now, X-Men, written by Jerry Dugan, or is it Duggan? Somebody tell me. But X-Men, written by Jerry Duggan, has been really fun. What I like about it is that ever since Hickman left X-Men, X-Men feels more episodic. Like, each issue takes you on its own ride. And I've really been appreciating that. So this issue, 11 of X-Men, sees all the women of X-Men on Game World. Solving an issue there. It's funny because I've been reading Uncanny X-Men Volume 1, and I just finished the issue where Arcade has the X-Men on Murder World. So like, I've got that picture in my head. I don't know if that's what this is going to be like, but if it is, definitely hype. This one's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm getting cover A. And that's going to do it for my Marvel Comics pull list. So if I just stick to the pull list, my Marvel Comics are going to cost me $13 this week. All right, so we talked about DC, we talked about Marvel, and that just pretty much leaves everyone else. So let's talk about the independent and creator-owned titles that are on the pull list this week. Starting off with a book that doesn't really need to be there, but cover gimmicks are cover gimmicks. We're looking at The Scorched number 5. Now, this is the third in a series of 4 Jim Lee X-Men number 1 homage covers done by Todd McFarlane. I wish I could tell you I've been reading the series and it's the most amazing book ever. I've read the first 3 issues and it's been decent. There's nothing to write home about, but it's been fun superhero stuff, featuring every Spawn ever. But I'm really in it for this Jim Lee connecting cover set that will finally wrap up with issue number 6. And I'm finally going to drop The Scorch from my pull list after that. It's got a cover price of $2.99. So it's not like it's breaking the bank, but I'm getting this cover B, which is the Todd McFarlane cover B. Now, next up on the pull list is a series that is very quickly coming to an end, and I'm sad about it. This is 7 Secrets, issue number 17. It's the penultimate issue. Just means it's the issue before the last one. And I'm not caught up on 7 Secrets. It's an indie series by Tom Taylor from Boom Studios. The art by Danielle Dinaculo is always amazing. It's always great. I fell behind on this series like in the middle of last year. It was on a bit of a hiatus. I should have caught up then. I didn't. But now, I basically got like 6 issues left until I'm done with it. There's 6 issues. Yeah, because I'm on issue 12. And this is issue 17 coming out. So I'm going to read the whole last arc as a trade, basically. But man, I'm hoping that the series wraps up well. Because you really have fallen in love with the main character if you read up to it this far. But anyway, that is 7 Secrets, issue number 17. It's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm getting cover A. Next up is another book that really, I don't know, like, should I drop it? Should I not? At this point, I've got this series. It's Spawn. Spawn, number 329. I've been picking up Spawn ever since issue 300. Because 300 just seemed like a cool place to start, right? They had the nice, ASM 300 homage. I was all in, right? Time before I was like, yo, it's the record-breaking book. I was excited, right? And I've read approximately 4 issues of Spawn ever since then. But I keep it going, I don't know, because maybe I want to break a record myself for the longest run of comics that it's never been read. Now, I kept Spawn on the pull list for so long because they weren't even doing trade paperbacks. And Spawn really does have some of the best art in comics every single month. And now that they got 4 monthly Spawn titles, they all have some of the best art in comics. And I love comic book art. But at some point, you got to read what you buy. And I've come to the conclusion that I'm probably never going to read what I buy if I'm buying Spawn. I'm just going to thumb through to look at the pretty pictures. But anyway, Spawn 329 is on the list. It's got a cover price of $329. Not $329, $299. What you're looking at is the cover A from Francisco Mattina, but I really like this cover C. It's by Kevin Keane. I can't tell if it was inked by McFarlane or not, but either way, I like it. So that's probably the one I'm getting for $299. And the next book on the pull list, which is the last book on my list this week, was pushed back from last week. This is The Walking Dead Deluxe, issue number 38. I thought it was coming out last week because League of Comic Geeks was wrong. That happens fairly often, but they're still seemingly the easiest site to use for this type of series. But Walking Dead Deluxe, you guys know, it's reprints of the old Walking Dead series, but they're all in color, printed on this nice cardstock. They're beautiful. I'm going to do a custom bind of my issues. Hopefully, just my luck, I'll be collecting all these single issues, and then they'll be like, actually, we're going to do those trades and omnibus after all. But whatever. Walking Dead Deluxe number 38 is out this week. It's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm getting that cover A by David Finch, of course. And that's it. If I just stick to the list, my independent and creator-owned comics are going to cost me $14 this week, which means if I only grab all these cover A's I told you I was going to grab, then my grand total this week is just $47. Now, I got to justify these variants somehow, right? Now, I could just be like, well, I saved money last week and the week before, which is true because I did, specifically so that I don't go over budget this week for my overall monthly total. But if titles had to go, I could probably skip Jurassic League number 1. I probably don't need that. I could probably skip the Hulk versus Thor as well. And then if I got to drop one of the Spawn titles, it's probably going to be main Spawn. But that one's going to hurt the most because I got the biggest list, or I've got the biggest collection of main Spawn. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to drop. I don't think we're going to drop anything. I think it's going to cut my losses because they're not really losses. I banked up some money in the previous weeks. You can go back and watch and verify. It really happened. But anyway, my grand total this week, $47 before taxes and my 10% subscriber discount. Still under budget, which I like that. So what's on your list this week? There was one book that made the maybe list, and I was just like, you know what? I can't actually put it on the list. But it's a Transformers book. What's it called? Okay, so this book is called Transformers: The Last Bot Standing. And honestly, why it caught my eye is a story basically told in like that Dark Knight Returns, Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin type style, where it's set in the far future. There's this one guy that's got to save the world. We don't know who the last Cybertronian left is, but then I realized I've never read a Transformers book in my life. This isn't gonna like mean much to me, but if it's done well, it very well could. I'm gonna have to wait for the trade on that, but that is coming out this week. Thought you might want to know. But anyway, that's my list. What's on your list this week? What are you most excited for? Are you hyped about Blood Syndicate? If I did nothing else with this video, you better be hyped about Blood Syndicate. You better buy it. Buy all of them, because I'm buying all of them. But that's it for this week. Hope you saw something you liked in this video. If not, hey, that's cool. Because you can always buy what you like. Just make sure you read what you buy. Unless it's Spawn. And be nice to others, because kindness makes the world go round. Peace.